Presence here today, we solemnly honor the pledge we made to ourselves and to the world that South Africa shall redeem herself and thereby widen the frontiers of human freedom.
In 1996, South Africa became the first country in the world to provide constitutional protection to the LGBTQI+ community, a great turning point for a community that was ostracized for many years.
This is what I say to white gay men or women who ask me why I spend so much time talking about apartheid when I should be fighting for gay rights. I am black and I'm gay. I cannot separate the two parts of me into secondary or primary struggle.
Simon Nkoli, the first openly gay anti-apartheid activist, Beverly Ditsie, and many others like social activist Phumi Mthethwa agitated against apartheid and for their identity rights at the same time. They saw both the struggles for human rights.
I think it was both an exciting and scary time, right? There was CODESA, there were negotiations. As LGBTI people at the time, who were both linked to the liberation movement, but as well who needed to ensure that a transition from apartheid to democracy made sure that no one was left behind. And I think that's the spirit of the Equality Clause, right? In its enumerated forms.
A young activist at the time, Mthethwa and others founded the National Coalition for Gay and Lesbian Equality in 1994, made up of LGBTQ+ organizations. They mobilized for the inclusion of the community's rights to equality, dignity, and freedom in the Constitution.
The National Coalition for Gay and Lesbian Equality had 4 objectives, really. To guarantee the equality clause in the Constitution, to repeal unjust laws that criminalized same-sex relations, and to develop policy and laws that promote the equality of LGBTI people in this country. And the 4th objective was to build a progressive movement.
Their mobilization for the country's rights in the Constitution found expression in many of the country's laws, like the 1998 Employment Equity Act, which ensured that employers could no longer discriminate employees on sexual orientation.
All of us who were involved in that campaign, lobbying Parliament, initially lobbying the Constitutional Assembly. As you will recall, our first parliament was the Constitutional Assembly, lobbying the Constitutional Assembly to make sure that the Bill of Rights set the way it's set, and then to make sure that, we put forward a campaign around unjust laws to be scrapped off our legislation, and as well as to make sure that we have the Equality Act, we have the Labor Relations Act, and various acts that actually include LGBTI people in them.
In 2006, the Civil Union Act legalized same-sex marriages, making South Africa the first African nation to do so. Through it, 2 people could now form either a marriage or a civil partnership, regardless of their gender. More laws continue to be reviewed to align them with the constitutional democracy. Despite the legislative advances, homophobia in many parts of South African society remain a challenge. As a result, hate crime statistics against the community remain high, and a number of lesbian women have fallen victim to a phenomenon of corrective rape.
In clinics, you present as a butch lesbian, you could be denied the medical attention that you seek, right? You are not a proper woman, and so on. Equally in the education system, which we are seeing it right now in this country, the curriculum right now does not embrace, the curriculum right now does not allow the embracing of diverse sexual expressions and so on. One of the worst things that people do not recognize is that lives have been lost as a result of this prejudice, as a result of this discrimination. Constitution, laws or no laws, the fact that people are raped, people are killed. In this country, we count more than 50 cases, known cases of people who have been raped, killed and murdered because of their sexual orientation and gender identity. There was a moment when we were feeling like we were undertakers, right? Because we were constantly at the graveyard burying people for hate crimes, and then the next Monday after you bury on Saturday, you are in court because, thank you, 3 people have been arrested on suspicion that they are the ones who committed the crime. And then the trial goes on and on and on. When it comes to me being able to walk outside the street, no one is certain if I will return because of the way I look, because of the way I dress, because of the way I present. And the saddest thing is that even though it happens in suburbs and what, it mostly happens where inequality is deeply felt.
A stab wound to the neck claimed the life of Diego Jacobs, a young man from Dolphin, Cape Town, earlier this year. 29-year-old Bonang Khailayo's throat was slashed in Sebokeng in February of 2021. In Pietermaritzburg, Nonhlanhla Kunene's body was found half naked in 2021. In the same year, 34-year-old Spamandla Khoza was beaten, stabbed and had his throat slit in Durban. The list is endless, and many of them are yet to find justice.
Now, 30 years down the line, we are seeing the damage, that some of the things that we could have made sure that they don't happen. But I do think that 30 years down the line, we find ourselves taking stock and really an invitation to rethink, to reimagine, to rebuild, and to undo the messes that we have been witnessing and doing. It is not late. If anyone is listening, it's a moment to really think about what type of a country do we want to be. Do we want to be a country that just keeps killing people based on who they are? I don't think the Constitution says that, but beyond the Constitution, I don't think as a people that center love, Ubuntu in an African way, we want to be that.
Since 2009, the LGBTQI+ organizations have been advocating for a law to prosecute perpetrators of hate crimes. 14 years later, in December of 2023, the National Assembly finally passed the Prevention and Combating of Hate Crimes and Hate Speech Bill, but they believe its signing into law will just be one step in the battle against the abuse, stigmatization, and miming of the community. Tshego Fatso Magolego, SABC News, Johannesburg.